Welcome back to another Five Nights at Freddy's theory, and today we need to talk about the secret of the Mimic. PAX West just ended, and if you managed to go, Steel Wool gave us an opportunity to play the new Secret of the Mimic demo. Now, I know the game doesn't come out until next year, but I feel like this is going to be the perfect opportunity to try and dip my toes into theorizing what this game could include. But before that, let me tell you what I saw during my experience. Now, obviously, spoilers ahead for what we've seen so far with Secrets of the Mimic, but since we weren't allowed to take pictures or videos of the demo while we were there, I think today's the day I try my hand at green screen. Alright, so what exactly happens in the Secret of the Mimic demo? Well, whenever you first put on the VR headset, you're actually given the choice between two options. One is a more exploratory option where you get to free roam around the area that they have set out for you, and the other is a chase sequence against the main animatronic. Now, because the exploratory option actually comes directly before the chase sequence, we're going to actually talk about the exploration portion first. Now, when we first start this experience, we actually spawn in front of elevator doors in what seems to be a workshop of some sort, because when we wander around the room, we can actually find a blueprint sitting on one of the tables of one of the characters. Not an animatronic, mind you, it's a cardboard cutout of one of these characters. And this cardboard cutout is of a hippo. Now, because the door in front of us seems to be locked, we actually need to make our way through a hole in the wall that's directly next to us. And through this hole, we find what I'm going to call the gift room. Now, I'm calling this the gift room because this room is full of gift boxes. There's gift boxes on the ceiling, there's a cardboard cutout of what looks like a Trash in the Gang gift box, and in the center of the room, there is a giant blue gift box with a hand crank on it. I wonder where I've seen one of those before. Now, there was a door on the opposite side of this room, but that door was locked during the demo, so the only thing that we could do in this room was... And guess who we find inside the box? Everyone, I want you to meet Jackie, the animatronic that comes out of the gift box. And some of you might be a little intimidated by her, which is completely normal, because if you thought Circus Baby was big, oh my god, Jackie is massive. Like, I'm probably showing some pictures of Jackie that I took during PAX and maybe a few that I could find online, but none of the pictures that I took can actually show the scale of Jackie. Jackie's one arm is over 6 feet long, and if you could believe me, Jackie in the game is even bigger. So, after Jackie comes out of the box for you, she actually just kind of freezes. Actually, in this position. So you could actually take the hand crank that came from the box and take it to the door that we saw earlier to go open it. After going through the door, you walk down a short hallway, and if you look to your right, you'll actually see windows that you can look through. And when you look out them, you see what looks like some sort of factory with one of the Mimic's mascot costumes sitting in the center. And if you look to the left, you'll see a wall that's covered in posters. Now, some of these posters we have seen before, like Fredbear's Singin' Show and Fredbear's Family Diner. But there's a few of these posters that we haven't seen in-game before, like this one that I've been seeing floating around Twitter, which seems to have an octopus character on it, and one that I haven't seen anywhere because I don't think there's a physical poster that anyone saw, of Sharpay's Salon. After making it to the end of the hallway, you enter what I'm assuming is the manager's office, and directly in front of you is probably my favorite animatronic from the demo, the paper shredder animatronic. To the left, there were two very important looking objects, one of them being the manager's desk, which sadly didn't really seem like there was anything to interact with during the demo, and the other object being an old generator, one of those pull to start generators. Now, this is whenever the demo started getting really interesting. After starting the generator, you started to hear something approaching. But because of the generator, you couldn't move yet. So you just had to wait for it to get to you. From the hallway that you just came from, you start to see Jackie. But she's a little too big. She can't get into the room that you're in. She's still stuck to that gift box that you found her in. Until she starts pulling herself out of it. Maybe pulling isn't the right word. She starts tearing herself out of the gift box. She separates herself from that thing to get into the room with you, looks you directly in the eye, and then the paper shredder bot says something, and then she goes and attacks that. She then throws the paper shredder bot at the wall behind you, causing it to crumble, but it does give you a way to escape Jackie, so you go through the wall, and then you fall and the experience ends. But like I said earlier, that's not the end of the demo. Experience 1 leads directly into Experience 2, the chase. Now, I do have to admit, running away from Jackie during this experience, along with the time I had left during this experience, did leave me in a high-pressure situation. So I didn't exactly remember as many details as I would have liked to, but that doesn't mean that I left with nothing. In fact, I still believe that I left with a good bit of experience to tell you guys. First things first, Jackie's appearance. Jackie seems to start changing her appearance just ever so slightly during this part of the demo. It seems to be similar to how the Glamrock animatronics worked in Security Breach. The longer the night goes on, the dirtier and more beat up they look. So Jackie, during this part of the demo, starts getting closer and closer to what we see during the trailer. During this part of the demo, Jackie starts showing off what she can actually do. And those arms aren't for show. They're like giant accordions. She starts reaching out from behind you to grab things in front of you to pull herself closer to you. And if you think that things like stairs or elevators are gonna stop her, oh no. Those arms are reaching the top before you do. You just have to hope that you can get there before she pulls herself up. It starts getting to the point where you have to start pulling levers in order to open doors in front of you and close doors behind you in order to stop Jackie from getting to you. And the doors aren't enough. You have to close a door, and she literally just bursts through the door in order to get to you. There were a few other things during this chase sequence that did stand out to me, like wind-up rat toys or the Mimic's mascot head just sitting off to the side, but sadly, once again, none of these things you could interact with. At the very end, you need to start another generator, but this time, one pull isn't gonna do it. You need to keep pulling until the meter reaches full, while Jackie is still trying to get to you. After getting the generator started, you can then enter the air vent in order to get away from Jackie. Until you pull a Cassie, that is, and the air vent underneath you just decides to fall. And that was the end of the demo. Obviously, there's probably a lot of details that I missed just because I forgot about them or I just missed them entirely during my playthrough, but we got a lot of information from this demo. In fact, I think that Steelwool gave us enough information in just the demo that we're going to be able to theorize about what we're going to see in the full game's release. The first thing that I think we're going to see more in the full release is Jackie reacting very violently to sounds. Like I said earlier, Jackie is looking directly at you whenever she has the opportunity to get you in the first experience, and then the paper shutter bot says something behind her and she easily gets distracted and pounces on him instead. But that's not the only reason why I think sound is going to play a key role in this upcoming game. The wind-up rat toys that I mentioned earlier seem like an easy object to just pick up off the ground, wind up, and send off in a different direction than where you're going to keep Jackie on a wild goose chase. The music box that Jackie comes out of is very similar to the music box of FNAF 2 that we know was used to keep the puppet at bay. And this isn't the first time that we've heard that we need to use sound in order to lure this animatronic. In Security Breach, you can find plenty of post-it notes posted throughout the entire Pizzaplex with many things written and drawn on them. And in Help Wanted 1, you could occasionally find fast facts sitting on the TV after getting an in-game death. But between these two forms of communication, there is one message that they both share. It is drawn to sound. With both of these games teasing and leading up to the release of the Mimic in the games, it seems kind of obvious that this message is talking about the Mimic. And with Jackie being in a game called The Secret of the Mimic, while it's definitely not confirmed for her to be the Mimic at this point, it's highly likely that she is. But this isn't a trait that just Jackie shares. There's at least one other animatronic that has this same trait. Way back in FNAF 3, Springtrap can be looking directly at you from either through the glass or through the doorway, and then you just play an audio cue and then he decides that you're just not good enough for him and then leaves. And it makes a lot of sense for them to share this trait too. Spring Bonnie and Jackie come from the same general time period around the time of Fredbear's Family Diner, and if they programmed one animatronic to do it, then they would most likely program the other animatronic to do the same thing. Or Jackie learned by watching Spring Bonnie do it. Speaking of Spring Bonnie, the next thing that I think we're going to see more of in this upcoming game is some of the older animatronics. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to see some of the older Freddy's animatronics. Since this is supposed to be taking place before Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opens, we might see them in like a back room being built or something, but it's much more likely we're going to see some of the pre-Freddy's animatronics, like the Springlock animatronics. Not only that, it seems like we might get just a little bit more information about one of the animatronic groups that we've gotten the least amount of information about, the Mediocre Melodies, because we see a ton of new characters popping up in this game, and a lot of them seem to resemble some of the Mediocre Melodies. Take that hippo poster I told you about earlier, for example. That poster contained a purple hippo and 2 green frog characters, which sounds a lot like Mr. Hippo and Happy Frog. And the Mimic already has an elephant costume. All they really need to do is take away the circus theme, spray paint it orange, and then there you go. You have another Mediocre Melody just ready for you. In fact, I think we're going to get a lot more representation from some of the FNAF 6 animatronics that we just haven't seen in a while and don't have a lot of lore on. Like how that cardboard cutout that I mentioned in the present room having a weird resemblance to Trash in the Gang, or how Carney, the carnival animatronic, is a literal rock star animatronic. I'm hoping this would give us more information on these animatronics, like where they were up to the point of FNAF 6, who made them, and maybe even a little bit more about who made them. But I wouldn't really hold my breath on that because this is FNAF we're talking about. The last thing that I think we have a pretty good chance of seeing in this game is why Jackie has a weird connection to Sister Location. And I think it might be because Jackie is related to Baby. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that Elizabeth has some secret sister or some cousin who was in an accident years before she was. I'm literally saying that Jackie, the animatronic, is related to Baby in some way. Like Jackie is a prototype to Baby. Like, it's no secret that these two characters have a ton of design similarities between the two. They're both clown girls with red hair, and they both have this weird faceplate design down the center of their face. And while it's not a design similarity, they both run off of Rogue AI. Now, that does sort of bring into question whether William Afton had a hand in making Jackie, but... Yeah?
I thought Circus Babies opened after a Freddy's Location closed.
Well, you're partially correct. Circus Babies Rentals opens after Freddy's Location closes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Circus Babies as a whole didn't exist before the Freddy's Location closed. In fact, Circus Baby herself says that she had a restaurant, but it was only open for one day.
Oh, okay.
All right, glad I could help. But that does remind me of something interesting that Circus Baby does say on night 4. Circus Baby says that the Springlock suit that we get stuck in on night 4 comes from her old pizzeria, and I can see this having 2 different meanings. 1, it came from the pizzeria that was only open for a day, or 2, it came from an older pizzeria that Baby was a part of. It does sort of give a reason as to why the Springlock suit would be in Sister Location in the first place, considering Springlock technology quickly fell out of fashion with animatronics that have endoskeletons in them that won't kill the user with spring locks. The Springlock suit is most likely there as a reminder of the past, or because William wants to keep it for nefarious reasons. And that is all I have for you today. I would love for this game to include more than what I just said, like maybe proof of whether or not the books are canon to the games, maybe some more backstory about the Afton family, some more backstory about Henry and his family, backstory about how Fazbear Entertainment started. But this is FNAF we're talking about. With every question that gets answered, 7 more questions pop up. So this would be one hell of a game if all of that got answered and then it just sprouted more questions. But hey, why don't you tell me what you think? Do you think the books are canon to the games? Leave me a comment down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to join my Discord server that should be linked down in the description. We got a growing community of cool people who like talking about FNAF and pretty much anything else. Am I forgetting about anything else? Oh, right. Don't forget to hit the button that looks like this and the special button that throws a party whenever I say the magic words. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Did it do it? Thanks for watching to the very end, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.